Imagine a city overflowing with breathtaking beauty and luxury, a place that vanished in a single morning. They possessed everything a civilization could desire: vast wealth, immense power, fertile lands, and the freedom to do whatever they pleased. But behind a luxury lived a people so corrupt that their cries reached the heavens. God came down, not with an army or a flood, but with fire. This is not just a story of destruction. It is a profound story of judgment, mercy, and serious warning. It tells of a man who dared to ask God, "Will you really destroy the righteous with the wicked?" But before the fire fell, before the sky turned to flame, heaven listened. God remembered Abraham, and in mercy, he pulled one family from the fire. A story of destruction, yes, but also a story of hope for those who trust in God's mercy. This is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Long ago, in the ancient lands of Canaan, two cities stood tall in the valley of the Jordan, Sodom and Gomorrah. Fertile and wealthy, the cities were lush like the garden of the Lord, full of life and abundance. Travelers spoke of their luxury, but beneath their riches and beauty, darkness festered. These were cities that lived without any fear of God. Their people had turned away from righteousness and justice. Violence, pride, and cruelty became their way of life. Their streets echoed with mockery and lust, not with songs of praise. They rejected the stranger and oppressed the defenseless.
What you did here tonight.
They delighted in sin and called it freedom. The prophet Ezekiel would later write of them, "Now this was the sin of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters were arrogant, overfed and unconcerned. They did not help the poor and needy. They were haughty and did detestable things before me. Therefore I did away with them, as you have seen. Even the angels in heaven heard the cries, the pain, the injustice, and the oppression. And so Yahweh came down to see it for himself." One hot afternoon, Abraham sat by the entrance of his tent in the oak groves of Mamre. As he looked up, he saw 3 men standing nearby. These were not ordinary travelers. They were messengers from heaven, and one was the Lord himself. Abraham rose instantly, as if something in his spirit knew these were no ordinary travelers. He ran to meet them and bowed low to the ground and said, "My Lord, if I have found favor in your eyes, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you could be refreshed, and then go on your way." The 3 men agreed, and Abraham rushed to prepare a feast.
Truly wonderful, Abraham. Indeed.
He served fresh bread, curds, milk, and a choice calf. He stood by them as they ate, honored to serve these heavenly guests. After they finished the meal, the Lord turned to Abraham and spoke. The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great.
The time of reckoning.
Their sin is very grievous. I will go down to see whether they have done all that has been reported. If not, I will know. As the angels went ahead towards Sodom, Abraham stood before the Lord, and he did something incredibly bold. It was something only a man who truly knows God would dare to do. He stepped forward and pleaded, "My Lord,
If only
Abraham
10 can be
began
found there,
humbly.
spare the
Will
city
you
for the sake
sweep
of the
away
10.
the
Do not
righteous
let
with the
your
wicked?
anger burn against
Suppose
your
there are
servant.
50 righteous within the city.
Suppose there are 50?
Will
I
you
hear
still
your
destroy
plea.
it and not spare the
Go,
place for the sake
and
of the
it shall be
50
done.
righteous people in it? Abraham asked,
I
his
hear your
voice
plea.
trembling with courage
Go,
and reverence.
and it shall
To
be
kill
done.
the righteous with the wicked, treating them alike.
What
Far
if
be
there
it
are
from you.
50 righteous
Shall not
within
the
city?
judge of
Will
all
you
the
then
earth
sweep
do
away
right?
the place and
The
not
Lord
spare it for the
replied,
50 righteous
if I
who are in
find
it?
50 righteous people in Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. But Abraham grew bolder, pressing for the mercy of God.
We
What if there are
started too
45
high. Let us
or
reconsider.
40,
Not 90,
30,
surely.
20?
How about 80?
Each time
No,
the Lord
let's say
answered
70.
patiently, for their sake I will not destroy it. Finally, Abraham said, let me speak once more. What if
By
only
myself
10 are
I have
found
sworn,
there in the city?
declares the Lord, that because you
The Lord said,
by myself
for
I
the
have
sake of
sworn,
10,
declares the Lord,
I will not
that
destroy
because you
it.
have done this,
Abraham
I will
dared
surely
not
bless
ask
you
for
and
more.
make-
Then the Lord departed, and Abraham returned to his tent, his heart heavy, hoping there were at least 10 righteous souls in the city. The sun lowered in the sky. The two angels approached the gates of Sodom, and the hour of judgment crept closer. As night fell over Sodom, the two angels arrived at the city gates. There sat Lot, Abraham's nephew, in the gateway. He had chosen to live in Sodom years earlier, drawn by its wealth and fertile plains, despite its reputation for wickedness. When Lot
Come
saw the
inside the gate
visitors,
now. Do not
he
delay.
rose
We
and
must
bowed
hurry.
low. My lords, he said, please come to your servant's house. Spend the night, wash your feet, and rise early to continue your journey. The angels said, no,
Please,
we will
my
spend the
friends,
night
do not
in the
go
square.
down this street tonight.
But
It is
Lot
not
insisted
safe.
urgently.
I beg you, come
He
to my
knew what
house
the city was
instead.
capable of. He knew the
Please, my
danger of the
lords,
square.
You must not spend the night in the square.
The streets were not safe, not for travelers, not even for the innocent. Eventually, they agreed, and he brought them into his home and prepared a feast. But before they had gone to bed, a terrible sound echoed through the streets. Men of Sodom, young and old, from every part of the city, surrounded the house. They beat on the door and shouted, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out so we may know them." Their demand was violent and immoral.
Bring the strangers out to us.
The
Please, my
phrase "to
friends,
know
do
them"
not do this
in this
evil thing.
context was
I
a
beg you,
euphemism for
leave them
assault,
alone.
an expression of Sodom's
Please, my
depravity
friends,
and
do not do
humiliation of
this evil
outsiders.
thing. I
Lot
beg you,
rushed
leave them
outside
alone.
and shut the door behind him. Please, my brothers, do not do this wicked thing. But then, in a moment that has troubled readers for centuries, Lot made a horrifying offer. I have two daughters who have not known a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do as you please with them, but do nothing to these men. Lot's offer was shocking, a tragic reflection of the moral corruption he had absorbed from his environment. Even in trying to protect his guests, he showed how twisted the standards of the city had become.
We know what you've
But the
done.
crowd only
Please, I
grew
beg you,
angry.
don't harm them.
Out of
Open
our
this
way,
door now.
they shouted, "This man came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We will treat you worse than them." They lunged at Lot to break down the door, but in that moment of terror, the strangers acted. They revealed their divine power. They struck the mob with sudden blindness. Panic spread as the men groped at the walls, stumbling in the dark, unable to find their path. Lot stared in shock. These were no ordinary
Fear
men,
not,
but
Lot.
messengers of God.
We have been sent to this.
The angels turned to Lot.
Fear
Do you have
not,
anyone else
Lot.
here? Sons-in-law,
We have been
sons,
sent to this
daughters,
place.
or anyone else in the city
You
who
must
belongs
leave
to
the
you.
city now.
Get them out
Do
of
not
here
hesitate,
because
or
we're
you
going
will
to
perish with
destroy
them.
this
Go,
place.
escape for your
The
life.
outcry is great.
You must leave the city immediately.
Lot ran out to find his sons-in-law. The men pledged to marry his daughters. Hurry, leave this
You
place.
must leave.
The
God
Lord
is
is about to destroy
this
the city.
Surely you
But they
jest,
laughed in his
Father.
face.
The wine has gone
To them,
your head.
it sounded like a joke, an absurdity.
Look at him.
The
hour is
idea
late.
of
You must
divine
flee
judgment
now. Do
seemed
not delay.
absurd in a
But our
city
possessions.
so
There is no time.
confident
Go.
in its wickedness.
The
At
hour is
dawn,
late.
the
You must flee
angels
now. Do not
urged Lot
delay.
again.
But our
Hurry,
possessions.
There is
take
no
your
time.
wife
Go.
and your 2 daughters and flee, or you'll be swept away. But Lot lingered in fear. Was it attachment to his home? Doubt? The text does not say, but he hesitated. So the angels,
Let go of
in an
me.
act of
How
God's
dare you
mercy,
treat me this way?
seized them by the
We
hands.
must go now.
Lot,
there is no
his
time.
wife, and his daughters,
Come on. We
and
have
led
to
them
go now.
forcefully
Do
out of
not
the city.
look back.
The Lord had mercy on them, not because they were righteous, but because he remembered Abraham's plea. Once
Escape for your
outside,
lives.
one of the
Do not
angels
look
said,
back.
"Run
Flee
for your
to the
lives.
mountains before
Don't
you
look
are
back,
consumed."
and don't stop in the plain. Flee to the mountains." Lot begged, "Please, my Lord, I cannot flee to the mountains. Disaster will overtake me. Let me escape to that little town over there. It is small." The angel agreed. "Very well. I will not overthrow the town you speak of.
It is small.
But hurry.
Don't look back.
I cannot do
We're almost
anything
there.
until you reach
Keep
it."
moving.
The town was called Zor, meaning small. Just as the sun rose over the land, Lot and his family fled toward the small town of Zor. Then it happened. The Lord rained down fire. Fire and burning sulfur fell from the heavens, not just on Sodom, but also Gomorrah. A storm of judgment fell from above. The sky turned red, the earth trembled, buildings crumbled, and fields erupted in flame. People cried out,
Oh, the gods!
but it was too late. Everything in the valley, cities, homes, gardens, livestock, was wiped away in an instant. But as they fled, Lot's wife turned back. She looked toward the city, her heart still tied to what she left behind. In that single moment of disobedience and longing, something began to change. Her skin paled to white. Fine grains crept across her cheeks like sudden frost. Her arms stiffened. Her feet grew heavy, rooted to the ground.
Hurry,
Then,
Father, we
all
have
at
to keep
once,
moving.
I cannot
she
leave
became a
them.
pillar
You
of
must.
salt.
Do not
God's
look back.
mercy had pulled them out of the fire, but looking
Hurry,
back
Father, we
cost
have
her
to keep
everything.
moving.
I cannot
Lot's
leave them.
story didn't
You
end in
must.
Zor.
Do not look
Afraid
back.
to remain in the town, he fled into the mountains. There they hid in a cave, isolated and broken, thinking no man would come to them. Lot's daughters,
He cannot stay
raised in the
like this.
moral filth of Sodom, committed a
We are
grave
alone
sin
now.
to preserve their
What will
lineage,
become of us?
birthing the nations of Moab and Ammon. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah echoed through the generations. The prophets spoke of it. Jesus himself referred to it. The cities became a symbol of divine justice, not just for wickedness, but for a people who rejected God's ways. What was their sin? In their wealth and ease, they became careless. In their pride, they became cruel. And in their freedom, they gave themselves fully to perversion, injustice, and violence. But make no mistake, judgment was not sudden. God warned, he watched, and he waited. Only when mercy had been exhausted, only when the outcry of the oppressed reached heaven, did fire fall. Yet even in this dark tale, we also see a spark of mercy. God spared Lot. He remembered Abraham's intercession. He delayed judgment until the righteous were removed. This is a story of patience, a story of justice, and a story of grace for those who listen, turn, and remember the ways of the Lord. And what of today? We look at our world, at cities filled with wealth and wonder, yet pulsing with arrogance. We see nations once shaped by biblical values now embracing the very sins that marked Sodom. Perversion protected as freedom. Arrogance is praised as confidence. The poor are ignored while luxury thrives. Sexual confusion is taught as identity. Greed is applauded as ambition. Blasphemy is disguised as boldness. Nudity is now a form of expression. Corruption is justified as strategy. Prayer is mocked while evil is paraded. Those who stand for God are silenced. Many today live as if judgment will never come, swept along by a tide of moral decay that claims to be progress. But Scripture warns, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a disgrace to any people. Yet even now, there is hope. God still listens. He still saves. He still extends mercy to those who will turn, repent, and seek refuge. Let every heart remember, the Lord is slow to anger, abounding in love, but he will not leave the guilty unpunished. The fire that fell was not just punishment. It was a plea across time, a call to wake up and turn back. Remember, the God who judges also saves. In this world that mirrors Sodom, following Jesus can feel like a lonely path. Following Jesus might feel uncool. People may call us boring. The pressure to conform can be overwhelming. But remember, the people of Sodom followed the crowd into destruction. We are called to be different. Jesus said, "Enter through the narrow gate." The crowd does not lead to life. It leads to death. So refuse to follow the crowd blindly. Live differently. Love boldly. Shine as lights in the darkness. In a world chasing shadows, Jesus is the solid rock. Stand firm in the faith, for the narrow path with Jesus leads to life abundant and eternal. Subscribe for more.